what was the catalyst for the decision to stop contracting and go into the real world?
It was so 05 to 09 is when I was there. And towards the end of my time there is when we were transitioning everything back over to the Iraqis. So it was getting really weird because all of a sudden now where you would normally have a coalition checkpoint, now you're rolling through an Iraqi checkpoint. So there was no true green zone anymore. And there was a lot of things that kept happening that were, it's like, that could have been really bad. I probably could have got shot there, or probably, who knows what it is, but the support was even less than it was before. And there's only so many close calls you can have before you're like, you know what, this just isn't worth it anymore. I've got a family back home. The whole reason I was doing this in the first place was actually to, get in on the ground level of a new technology that could give me longevity in the civilian world with an actual career. And that was the premise of why I even went that direction and did the technology piece.
So it's a total of 12 years then between the Marines and the contract work?
Yeah, a little over 11 years, yeah.
All right. So then you get out into the real world, which they don't do anything to really prepare you for?
No.
Where'd you go then? I mean, what was the first, where'd you move to? What was the first job?
I moved to New Orleans to actually do more contract work with Marine Forces North, which is the Marine Corps' component command under U.S. Northcom. And when I got there, things didn't really line up the way I had anticipated them to. So it kind of left me in a bad spot. And I was trying to figure out how to shift, how to pivot, how to navigate through the next step. Like, where do I go from here? Because this isn't working like I thought it was going to work. And it just led me down this path of, trying to network, trying to meet people. At the time, I couldn't sleep. I was dealing with some post-traumatic stress issues. I wasn't looking at it like that because I was just trying to survive. But it was all, I could just feel the noose tightening. And it just got to a point where no matter where I went, like, I would have great conversations with people at networking events. I was at a point where I had to read a book on just how to have conversations with people, because people just talk about the most mindless, stupid stuff. And I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you. Like, I want to work and I want to be home. Like, I need to recharge. I need to fix my mind. So that's it. I ran through all my money. When I was overseas, I was married. and ended up getting divorced. I became another statistic. And so financially, I had a lot of money going out different ways, and I could only survive so long. And I'm not a business-minded guy. I knew nothing about business. My whole life outside of high school had been the Marine Corps. So I wasn't prepared for all the things that life would throw at me. I'm a handshake guy. If I shake your hand, it's as good as gold, but it's not reciprocal in the real world. So I got burned a lot, and it just left me in a place where I had to just do what I could, and that was filing for bankruptcy and trying to start over.
Is that when you're living in your car?
Yeah.
Right. So as you're doing that, then what's keeping you from going back to what you were doing when you were in 7th grade, 6th grade?
Well, I would never go back to that direction, because I was from a growth perspective, that's not who I was anymore. I would never bring myself back to that place, although I was thinking about suicide. And then this is where I feel like I was being a little bit selfish about my thoughts, because I was thinking about everything in terms of me. And really what I needed to do was reframe my whole thought process, because granted, I wasn't active duty doing a lot of the things over there I was doing, but I did lose very close people to, and I think about everyone who didn't make it back, or I think about everyone who did make it back who, is in a wheelchair, or they're missing limbs, or, whatever the case may be. I'm lucky that I have my mental health and I've got my physical health. So it comes back to me having a sense of responsibility to do something with my life. And this is where I say fitness was a huge piece, and me being in New Orleans was a huge piece because that's where the whole destiny thing came into play, where God's plan kind of revealed itself to me. Because I had no idea when I moved to New Orleans that when I got there were more films and TV shows being shot in Louisiana than anywhere else. So, like I say, I filed for bankruptcy, was living in my car. I needed a goal. I said I was going to do this bodybuilding show. I was going to do something with health and fitness around the city, promote myself, show people what I'm able to do. And in doing that, the gym that I actually started personal training at would be a gym that a lot of celebrities would come to because it was like a little boutique 24-hour gym. And that's where Zac Efron came in, doing a movie about a Marine Iraq veteran. So that's where we met.
So at this time, all the money that you're making from personal training is going into your food and everything that you need to be able to bodybuild, and you're still living in the car?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I was sleeping in my car, sleeping on the massage table, cooking food at other people's houses, just doing whatever I could to kind of piecemeal my whole life together. But him coming in and having that experience was kind of surreal because I'm like, all right, well, it breathed life back into me because I realized, all right, there's something here that I think I can do that no one else is doing.
So what was the experience? So he comes in and
he came in, he saw my picture on my personal training picture on the wall, personal trainer picture, and it was kind of like this Marine Corps collage type thing. So we talked, and they brought me to set. I met the director and producer. They talked about the movie, what they needed him to be and do and look like and all this. So that's when they hired me to be his technical advisor. That was my entrance into film and TV. And what happened then was I met a lot of the crew members, and they all realized how good I was at what I do. So they started updating me with all these production reports. So every time a production came in, that production report would be updated. So I would get this list. It had the address and everything of where these productions were. And this is where I say I went into like guerrilla warfare mode. I just had flyers made, and every week I was hitting every office. I wanted everyone to know who I was. I was giving out free personal training sessions. I was giving out free nutrition advice. I came in there and I wanted everyone to know who I was. And when I left there, I didn't want them to forget me.
So how are you figuring out how to train these people? Right? Because up to this point, your whole background has been military and training yourself.
Yeah.
So now you basically have Gen Pop, for lack of a better word, coming in, and you're training for bodybuilding, right? Are you training them like you would train a bodybuilder?
No, not training them like a bodybuilder, but I was knowledgeable enough to know how to manipulate the body through exercise and nutrition. And that was the biggest key for me that differentiated me from a lot of other people was I was able to adapt on the fly. When I got into fitness pretty hot and heavy in 98, 99, when I was in the Marine Corps and everyone would go out on the weekends and party and do all weird shit, I'd be at the vitamin shop or the bookstore reading nutrition books. And I was just always trying to educate myself. So I started building this whole database of knowledge on my own. And I would experiment on myself, and then I would experiment on, some of my Marines, because they would always want to know what I'm doing. So I'm like, here, try this. And so I started learning how to, based on your body type, based on your injuries, based on whatever it is that you need to look like, I started to understand more how to do it because I'm looking at the body more as art. And when these actors would start to come in and train with me, some of it would be easy. Maybe they're doing a bedroom scene and they just need to shed a little bit of water weight or something. And then you got, maybe like the movie G.I. Joe where I trained the whole cast, and that was very intensive because you've got all these different characters that need to look a certain way and need to move a certain way. So it gave me more homework to do. So it became this evolution of trying to educate myself in every possible way. So just doing as much research as I could. I was just reading books like every free moment I had.
When people think of celebrity trainer, they basically default think to getting somebody shredded for whatever the film is. But I have to think that it's more along the lines of making sure that they're resilient to be able to get through the filming, and that they have the mobility that's actually required, because not all of them are going to be shirtless roles and stuff like that. They just need to be able to get through that role. So is that kind of how you were seeing this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a, you're just one facet of an actor's day, and you might have them at the beginning of the day. It could be at 5 a.m. You could have them at the end of the day. It could be 10 at night, or it could be even worse. If they're filming nights, you might get them at 2 a.m. So you've got to understand, like for me, I have a plan in place about how I want to train them, but more times than not, I would have to shift that because they were either too tired or weren't motivated or just didn't even want to be in there. And they're not like us, where we live in this space. We live for the pain. We live to be in the gym. That's not Hollywood. So I think most of why I gravitated toward the action genre is because I was more of a hardcore type guy. And so I might have one plan in place. They come in, and I already know automatically I've got to shift, because I need to wake them up. I need to get them remotivated. I need to get them inspired. I need to plant seeds in their head, because to me, the fitness piece is a very mental thing. Anyone can come in and lift, but like, how can you plant seeds in there that'll keep them wanting to stay on top of their game, no matter how hard it is, no matter how tired it is. So I would not trick them, but I would play little mind games with them to make them think about things that they wouldn't think about otherwise.
And so Zac led into just the referral from that.
Well, Zac was the entrance into it. I didn't know that him and I would work for several years after, but he liked the style of training that I did. So he would recommend people when they would come into town. But I had a TV director come in after Zac, and I was actually about to move to LA with this director, because I don't know what's going on in New Orleans, but there was a sign for me that said, you have to stay here and really create something. Because before I was about to leave to go to LA with this director, within the course of a week or two, I got a call from Stallone, who was doing Bullet to the Head. I got a call from the production office to train the cast for G.I. Joe. Zac was coming back in to do Paperboy, and James Marsden was coming into town to do a movie. So I was like, now it's like all of a sudden everything hit me at one time. So I had to be able to manage all that as well. And I would say for the first several years, I didn't even sleep like a normal person slept, because I might be doing a movie during the day and a movie during the night. So I was living on naps for probably 2 or 3 years. But it was worth it, because I was able to create a career that I could have never even imagined. Not saying that Hollywood is the ultimate, because honestly, I love working on productions. I love working in Hollywood when you're with good people. But Hollywood is full of such shit people who really don't care anything about except for themselves. And it's why I never really fit the Hollywood mold. And I probably why I wasn't as successful, because I don't care what party you're going to. I won't be there. Like, I'd rather be at home doing my meal prep. I'd rather be reading. Trying to get some sleep. Just something that's more up my alley. I get hired to do what I'm good at, and that's it.
So that influx is what was the catalyst to move to California?
That was the catalyst to keep me in New Orleans. In
New Orleans.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was on the way to head out.
Okay. So then when did you head out?
So I ended up leaving in 2015 is when I moved to LA. And that's because, as I got a lot of notoriety from these bigger name actors, it brought in directors and producers who wanted to train with me as well. And they kept encouraging me to think about getting in front of the camera. So I started doing stunt training, got involved in the stunt community, and then got an acting coach, started learning the craft of acting, which is...
How was that? I mean, coming from the military life to that.
Crazy. I mean,
we explain crazy.
My first acting coach I had in New Orleans, within the first few sessions I had with him, I was ready to fight him. Because I thought he was screwing with me, because I didn't really understand the nature of acting and the craft behind it, right? So there's animal work and there's all these different methods, and it's like he was trying to pull all this stuff out of me. He was really trying to get me to a place where I could embrace vulnerability, because I think as an actor, it's very important that you can do that, because you never know what role you're going to get, and if you can't be vulnerable, you won't have anything to offer as an actor, because you're going to be just you always. So once I actually was able to embrace the vulnerability part, I realized, oh shit, this is another form of therapy. Like I really like this, because now.
So you're like barking like a dog and walking around like an elephant?
Well, if you think about the way, if you think about the way like animals move, so depending on what if you're doing a movie and the character is like this sleazy, low life kind of backstabbing snake, you might think about how a snake moves, or you might think about, based on the movements of animals, you kind of mimic that into the way you portray yourself. Be a bear, or a lion, depending on the character, you can like use animal traits. And there's so many other things. That's just one facet of it. And I was starting to learn all this, which was very eye-opening, but it at the same time, it allowed me to actually start using a lot of these different emotions that I had just repressed so deep that I would never do anything with. And that's bad in itself, because you suffer from that in silence.
Mm-hmm. So it was a form of therapy in a way.
Yeah, and it still is today. It's why I love acting so much today. It has nothing to do with the celebrity piece of it. I could care less about that.
So then when you were out there, did you start picking up roles?
Yeah. It was, everything was going great up to 2020. I was actually starting to phase out of fitness, because everything was going so good. 2020 was all lined up to be the biggest year acting wise I had. And then obviously COVID hit and the whole industry shut down. And when it started coming back online, it was even more toxic than it was before. And I'm like, I got to break from this, because my mind is just not, I can't be around people who just talk nothing but politics. And if you're not on their side of politics, then they want to do everything they can do to make sure that you never work again. Mm-hmm. And that's not the right environment for me.
So what's the transition then? Because, I see this reoccurring, build up, crash down, build up, crash down. Yeah. Here it is. So that as that's crashing down.
Crashing down. And here it is now. What I realized was everything that I was doing up to that point was reliant on my work in Hollywood. I had no depth outside of it. So in Hollywood, I'm doing celebrity training, I'm doing stunt work, I'm acting, I'm doing technical advising, everything. You take all that away, what do I have? I wasn't ready for, at the end, I wasn't ready for life. I wasn't thinking about my business. I wasn't thinking about longevity for myself, where I didn't have to rely on someone else. So I ended up going down the space where I was trying to look into the online coaching space, because I'm like, I can do that. I just don't know where to start. So I got a couple mentors to try and teach me how to do it right. And I could never really find the model that fit me, because it was all based around social media and all these videos, and that's not how I wanted to do my business. So I found a couple high-level executives and started training them, made massive transformations. One lady's writing a book on the transformation we did, and it just became this referral thing and word of mouth, and I just started getting a lot of clients and was doing really well with it. And then I met this one guy, I don't even want to say his name, but I met this one guy who talked a good game. No one really knew who he was at the time. He was just coming online, going viral, sales guy out of Scottsdale. And a business mentor of mine was like, you should jump in and do this, because you guys could create something cool together with fitness. So I ended up leaving Vegas, moving to Scottsdale, and found out this was the biggest sociopath I've ever met in my life. Like the biggest con artist, the biggest grifter, the biggest piece of shit I've ever met, really. Like you
were not able to pick up on that from the jump? Because you would think throughout your military experience.
No one did. No one could pick up. Even a lot of the guys that I respect in the business world were telling me I needed to meet him. Mm-hmm. And then he started to get big headed because of he was getting all this attention now and all this fame. And even from the time I got there until the end of 23, like he just started becoming this different person. Wasn't pay, like ended up not paying me all this money. They owe me so much money.
Well, it's interesting because in your past, you were working with people that are way bigger names.
Yeah.
Which obviously have way different personalities, which is kind of like showing that that's not required to be able to be at that level. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?